Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Illinois Green Party series. I'm your host, David Ritt. We have a very special guest on tonight, Chibu Asonye, who is a Green Party member who is running for Congress, District 13. Where exactly is District 13? I'm in District 10.
Oh, so hopefully we're not too far. Illinois District 13 is in central and eastern Illinois. It encompasses Champaign, Urbana, and Decatur through Springfield, down to Edwardsville, and into East St. Louis, so the metro east area, all the way down to Belleville.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty intense district there with like Springfield and Champaign, Urbana. As far as like, I mean, you got a major college town. I've been down to Champaign, Urbana a couple times. I had a couple fun weekends. Yeah, no, and there's a lot going on there. So, and then Springfield, of course, is our capital. So that's intense. Very interesting. Okay, very cool. And may I ask? I mean, don't give me your house address, but like, what town you live in?
Yep, I live in Champaign.
Oh no, so you live? Are you a student?
I am no, I'm not a student. I do work in the community though.
Oh, okay, cool. Did you go to school there?
I did. I'm a proud graduate of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
It's a great school. You have a great school. 2018. What was your degree?
Ooh, I got a bachelor's of science in Earth, Society, and Environmental Sustainability.
Oh wow.
Yep, with a international development concentration.
Holy cats.
Yep.
Do you have aspirations? And we'll talk about this. I want to go more in order, but real quick before I forget. Do you have aspirations to work for the UN or anything like that? Or
ooh, honestly, no. The UN in my life, I was hoping to work more so for like USDA instead.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure.
Yep. When I was in college, I had one of my global studies professors who was amazing. He still works at the university, actually. But he recommended that I join the Peace Corps. And really what I wanted to do with my degree was learn how to put developmental practices that are working in communities across the world and across our nation and apply it into Illinois, where I knew I would be staying.
Interesting. That's great.
Yeah, the gag is Illinois. I thought that I would learn how to be a farmer at the University of Illinois. What I didn't learn, what I realized is that's untrue. University of Illinois does not teach you how to farm. They teach you of many things, but I learned how to sell crop insurance.
Okay. Yeah. That is interesting. I might want to talk about that later on in the show after we go through all the political stuff. Because that's seriously, like I'm certified horticulturalist in organic farming, and I also have a certification in permaculture. I mean, they're mere certifications; they're not degrees. I mean, I have my college degree, but yeah. So that's really interesting. Were you hoping that within that program, that's what they would teach you? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. I started.
Isn't there like a regenerative farming major, like a agricultural major that you would have to? I mean, go ahead.
Yep. So there was a crop sciences major, but when I learned about the technical skills that I would be getting, it wasn't how I wanted to apply. So I really liked sustainable agriculture, and I wanted to learn. Yep. And I wanted to learn how can we practically shift our economy from a economy that does not prioritize sustainability and prioritize future generations, particularly with agriculture, because we come from like a farming state.
Oh yeah,
and so yeah, I started off wanting to be an urban farmer and wanting to learn how to bring that to my community in Chicago. And then when I stepped foot here in the campus, I knew my true space was in the heart of the cornfields.
Beautiful.
Yep. Living, loving, and working so that way our agriculture is continuing to be sustainable throughout the next generations. When I learned that Illinois was in a drought this past summer, it honestly broke my heart because I figured that was something that was happening on the West Coast.
Nope.
But
I mean, yes, it's happening there too. But yeah, it's not happening merely on the West Coast or in the Southwest. It's happening in a lot of places. Yeah, no, we get. I think we're usually in some sort of degree of drought almost yearly for at least a while.
Yeah,
And I mean there are again differing degrees of it. Like there's, I don't think as a normal person walking around you would notice that we were in a drought. We notice we're in a drought when like we go to turn our sink on and it doesn't turn on.
exactly.
But anyway, okay. So before this is really fast. Like I could talk about this stuff for years. And in fact, we're gonna have to have you back on to talk about all this stuff because this is very cool.
Thank you.
But we're here to talk to you about your run for Congress, District 13. So again, why don't you tell us how you came to the Green Party? How did that happen?
Yeah, I would say that I've always known about the Green Party in Illinois. It's active and it's present. So I knew that there was a very left party that appreciated the earth and appreciated sustainability. At the same time, I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. And so I was taught as a Black woman living in Chicago that I vote Democrat. We're all Democrats,
Right.
and there's no need to question that. But I did. And
Good.
so what I realized was I was not being served in the Democratic Party. And I wanted to find a community and find another political party, hopefully, that did serve my needs and really wanted to actually facilitate the changes that I've been hearing about. So I'm 27. And for 27 years, I have been watching the many, many lovely Democrats in my family, in my constituency, in my community, in my state, watching them say that they wanted more healthcare, better healthcare, saying that they wanted investment in our schools. And yet I saw divestment from our schools. I saw a more expensive healthcare. I saw dental insurance become no longer covered. And that all happened, unfortunately, under not the Green Party, under the Democratic Party. And it is frustrating and it hurts. And I feel for my constituents who are still Democrats because they believe that incremental change is possible. Because I'm 27 and I've watched every single person who's older than me, quite literally every single person who has hoped and dreamed, I've seen the results of their effort. And I'm realizing that being a part of the Democratic Party is no longer enough. I need to take ownership of my democracy. I need to take steps to ensure that I'm not only knowledgeable of what's going on, but other people are, and that I'm have my ear to the ground for the constituents in my community outside of Urbana-Champaign.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized is and so as over the last few years, as I was getting confident to be something different and to be confident in being someone that people might question and may be sad really that I'm not one particular way, because that's how the stereotype of Black people in Illinois are all vote blue no matter who. And I was like, no, so I did research. I figured out what I cared about. Personally, this is a side point, but I'm oddly, I won't say it's odd, but I'm interested in like fiscal responsibility, like that term. Growing up, I grew up in a conservative immigrant household. I went to a religious church, and so I grew up with people who cared about how money was spent. And yet, what I'm realizing, and what I found in the Green Party was a community that when I gave them money, they would spend it wisely and they would spend it to my benefit. What I found in the Green Party as I did my research is that I met more Green Party folks in Illinois, in my community. I saw that there was a light in them to do and to be, and my hopes and my dreams and my vision wasn't derided. And so as I learned about like myself and about how I can be a multifaceted person within the Green Party. So I can have a care for economics, and I can have a care for agriculture, and I can have a care for my rural communities. And the best way to and that comes in a grassroots democracy. That comes through building cooperatively in this space where the people in my community, where I actually am. I realized I could no longer farm out my democracy, and I read into the Libertarian Party, and I learned about the Liberty Caucus. As I shifted in my community in Urbana-Champaign, the Libertarian Party is, I was able to meet with them first before I was able to get touch base with the Green Party. And what was awesome was I learned about libertarian socialism as a concept. And as I learned more about different types of economies, different types of political organizations, I learned that I didn't need to be afraid of particular terms. And so when I realized I didn't need to be afraid to be different, I realized that I would be proud to be green.
Right. Very cool. Well, that's a great trek towards the Green Party. That's very cool. I also, real quick, started, went from Democrat to Libertarian. I was actually a member of the Libertarian Party and ran as District 10's congressperson. I won the state primary for the Libertarian Party in this district. And I didn't win, of course, because we're a third party and we're not, we need 8 billion votes to get our signatures to get on the ballot in the state, so I didn't win. But I couldn't, I consider myself a libertarian socialist. That's how I identify. I've been doing it for decades. I think it makes a lot of sense to me. I found out somewhat recently, technically, whatever that means, the Green Party is a libertarian socialist party. Yeah, nobody knows it. Technically, it just means that the national committee said it some years ago, and nobody really heard them. But okay, I felt Anna Schiefelbein. I told her, she's like, really? And she's been in the party forever. Well, yeah, which is great because like I said, I've always identified, or forever, I've identified as a libertarian socialist. So I was like, oh, cool. I just kind of unconsciously picked the right party. So that's very cool. So good for you. Grassroots democracy is so important. And I think that's one of the main things we need to focus on, I think, in this party. We have to focus on all 10 platforms, but the grassroots thing, because the duopoly is such they're corporate parties. That's what they are. That's the best descriptor for them is their corporate parties. They're not grassroots. They're not bottom up authority. They're top down. No matter how many times Biden says he's not, he is. Anyway, so that's very cool. So you're running for Congress District 10. With some pretty formidable spots in that district.
Congress District 13.
Well, I'm in District 10. I'm sorry,
okay.
District 13.
Yes.
So why made you decide to pursue political office?
Yep. I always wanted to be someone who was a public servant to my community, and I wanted to be useful to my community. As I grew up, one of the things that would stay in my mind was JFK's famous quote of "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." And that percolated in my mind since elementary school through high school and into college. I wanted to focus on doing developmental work, building my community, doing community organizing, advocating and lobbying small changes in this way. What I realized at this current moment is our country is at a crossroads, or has been at the crossroads for a very long time. And I've woken up to it, and I need to do something to change the trajectory of our country. And what role I can play is that in Congress. Congress directly impacts where a majority of our taxes go. And if we want to invest in our education, invest in our public infrastructure, we need to stop spending money on things that no one in the middle class, no one in the working class utilizes, like war and weapons, which has a lot of waste, and move those funds directly into our communities, directly into public safety, directly into getting clean water for our spaces. You know, so what I realized is what's happening in Champaign and in Springfield and in District 13, we have the capacity and we have the will and we have the fight to run a third party independent person who will fight for the things that we want to see, that we have been promised our entire lives. 27 years. We've been promised better health care. We've been promised Social Security that will last for generations. And yet my generation is generations that's getting left out. And I can no longer tolerate this. And I can no longer see the sadness and the disenfranchisement happening in my community. I have to put a stop to it. And I realized with Congress, I have to be different. That's the other reason why I decided to strategically not to run in the Democratic Party. Like you said, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are two corporate parties. I used to be a Democrat, and I learned that the DNC had a lawsuit, which they said they can change the presidential person. They can pick who they want, and the job of the Democratic chapters is to have and encourage people to vote blue down the ballot, down the ticket, and that's it. Right. What's important is the policies, and what's important is the fight for me. And so Congress is where I want to tackle the heart of the issues that are going on in my community. Mm-hmm. Healthcare for all is a big thing that is impacting my community. The Urbana-Champaign community, the Decatur community, the Springfield inner city, and in the county are actively underinsured. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us who are in the middle class, who are all working class, our salaries are either just above the poverty wage, so we can't get particular assistance. Yep. At the same time, we are below what it would mean to be comfortable, what would mean to be stable. And so instead of what I realized is we need health care for all. We need health care, we need health care that we can lower the prescription costs for everybody. Mm-hmm. Currently, Medicare is particularly for seniors. That's the idea. It's for seniors. It's also getting worse, which I'm learning more and more from the older constituents in my community. It's getting worse. And the idea is both parties, I believe, won't want us to have healthcare and Medicare for like the younger generation. And so I want to fight for my generation and the generations above me and below me to have healthcare. And that's something that's important to my community. As you shared, Urbana-Champaign is also home to the University of Illinois. The University of Illinois system is also in Springfield. There is two other major universities, Millikan University and Edwardsville is also in the stem of Illinois District 13.
Okay.
As a result, I would say a majority of the people who have student loan debt are middle class, working class people who currently live in Illinois, who live and work in their communities, who are paying thousands of dollars. Sometimes I know a grandparent and a mother who are paying, the grandparents paying $500 for on interest, just on interest for their student loan for their granddaughter. And
per month?
Per month.
That's insane.
Per month.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Of course. Yeah. And then this morning, quite literally this morning, I'm talking to another one of my constituents, and she shared that she's paying $1,000 for 3 different student loans because they had to take out a personal loan, and then they took out a Sallie Mae federal loan. Sure. The reason why we have exorbitant need of the student loan debt is because our federal government is not spending the money that we give them for our taxes wisely.
Oh, no.
Congress directly impacts student loans. Congress directly impacts higher education. Congress directly impacts the Medicare, how to get single payer healthcare. That's why I'm picking Congress, because my community can no longer wait for the goodwill of the DC elites who do not care about Illinois, who do not care about Champaign, who don't care about the students here, who don't care about this. Is also the communities that I live in, even like Decatur, Springfield, the Metro East area. These are very of color communities that are not being served by acquiescing to the most center people who may not, who don't have the same problems, who aren't seeing the same world, and who aren't seeing the same reality that I'm seeing every single day. I also want to tackle inflation. I want to tackle private equity within our homes and buying up all of these, all the single family homes in our communities. These are all things that are happening that I'm seeing currently, day to day, right now, in the heart of a huge college town, a metropolitan, micro-urban community that is, and it's happening in Urbana-Champaign. It's happening in Savoy and Decatur. It's definitely happening in Springfield. It's happening every single place. The only way I can see forward in my democracy, for me, is by doing something different.
Yes, no, very well said. No, that's spot on. That's perfect. Yeah, I know you heard of Joyce Mason. She's a representative in Congress. She's up here near me somewhere. She's not District 10. She's the one over.
Yeah.
I've had her on the show, and she's very green friendly, very much into the environmental part of it. And she says, it's you're right. We need more people say like you, Chibu, because like she says, like she's doesn't have enough support to get the bills through.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So that would be great. That would make her. I'm gonna let her know, because I'll just text her. I'm like, hey, we got a green. We're running for Congress in District 13, so you might have some help here soon. What about the process? Go ahead. Yes, absolutely. What about the process of campaigning? What have you done? So this is for this election specifically, right?
Correct. This is for 2024 in the November ballot for the general election. I've actually been on the ground in the community, speaking with people every day, working on with different alliances here in Champaign-Urbana, but also in Springfield and in Belleville, and getting the students riled up to have change.
Nice.
Yes. So I have a strong base of people across our district who are ready to go, ready to petition to get the 12,000 signatures I need, and our team needs to get on the ballot. So that way people have more choice. But yes, some of my work in the community as a community organizer has been on the highlights has been on passing a ceasefire resolution in my local community, which we did last night on Monday night.
Nice. Good for you.
Thank you. And so I'm in the community. People know me. People know my name, and I'm been going out to religious spaces, interfaith spaces, all free spaces, any free event I've been going to. But that's how I have a campaign team that stretches out throughout the district.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So we petitioners in all major hubs and all the college campuses.
That's great. Did you say you're going into the religious community? Is that what you said?
I am also going to the religious communities. Yes.
What does that mean? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I'm a woman of faith, and as a woman of faith, it is imperative to me to create spaces and a country that is welcoming to all religions and all spiritual and faith backgrounds, as well as if you I guess choose not to have a religion. And so I personally identify as a Christian, and I'm in the Baptist realm. And so, but I move throughout the Central Illinois faith community. We have like Presbyterian folks. We have Muslim communities. We have the Central Illinois Mosque actually in Champaign, and particularly in Urbana.
Oh, neat. That's cool.
Yep. And so I have been hand in hand doing work with them. Part of it is through the ceasefire resolution and through that alliance. But yes, so I'm going into, and I'm also going into our Jewish faith communities, as well as our the Urbana-Champaign community, and the Illinois District 13 community has a blooming polyistic faiths in our spaces. And
who does?
Urbana-Champaign in our in the congressional district, we have we have a group of polytheistic folks who are also a part of my team, so I can be as not only inclusive but also considerate of the different faiths that are represented within the Illinois District 13 community.
Well, that's very interesting. I didn't know that there was enough polytheists and really in the world to even like create a team of any sort. So that's very cool. Oh, I love polytheism. So that's very cool, and that's very important, I think, to get into those communities and talk to them, because I see a lot of division thereof too. I think the religious right in this country. Oh man, are they annoying? And I think if they had it their way completely, that they make it a law that like you had to be Christian or something weird, because I think they're that nuts and and that authoritarian. But yeah, so good for you. That's great.
Thank you.
Very cool. Yeah, for sure. So we got a couple people here watching. Just so everybody knows, there's a comment section on your right-hand side. You can make comments, ask questions, share stories, whatever you want to do. Sarah Petty, Ciripetie. Does that sound familiar to you? No, he's giving you one of these, and then
yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's
Can you
Ariel.
see
He's
it?
actually part of my campaign.
Oh, right on. And then Kira
Yes.
Payne says, "Thanks for hosting this live." You're welcome. My pleasure. So, these are people on your campaign team?
Yes, Ariel is.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Tennille, yeah, Tennille? Yeah, Tennille's fabulous. Hey, David and Chibu. Hi, Tennille. How are you?
Hi, y'all. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much, for sure. Tennille's been on here several times. She's awesome.
Yes.
And she's running for MWRD. Is that right, Tennille? Did I get that right? I always mess up the acronym.
Treatment District.
I think treatment. Okay, something like that. All right, cool. So yeah, so props to both of you on there. So how, besides going to, how's the response been door to door?
Honestly, it's been wonderful. The questions I get is, oh, that's great. We want young people with energy to push forward all the things that we've always wanted. Yes, yes, yes. The next question is, oh, you're an independent. What does that mean? And I say, I'm a part of the Green Party. I'm an independent. I'm working from the outside. The third question is, are you sure you don't want to, be a Democrat and just do it that way? And I share, no. And here's why. I want fight, and I need movement, and I want demands, and I'm going to get that from by who I am, the Chibu Asonye that is an advocate and is an organizer and who is a huge expert that talks to people. The best way that I can utilize my skills to be useful to my community is by being on the outside, doing things different, and showing to my community, Illinois District 13, that you can do it as an outsider. You can be a pusher from the left, from the outside left. It is okay for us to want to do things in a slightly different manner. The world will be better off for it.
Oh no, absolutely. As you were saying earlier, like the practical applications of how I like to transition from synthetic farming, commercial farming, to where we should be, organic and sustainable, regenerative. Like that's the question. Like that. I mean, I don't know many people. I mean, there's probably some, but I mean, most people I think are moving towards like we have to make the change.
Exactly.
I mean, you see what's going on in Europe, though. The farmers there aren't having it. Did you hear about all the? I mean, and I don't fault them for that, because it's all of a sudden the EO just like imposed all these like massively draconian laws on them.
Yeah.
And this is their it just sucks that we're in the situation where like, they're both right, but they're both competitive. like, what I'm saying, like, you have to, like, but they want to reduce like fertilizer usage by like 50% in a year or something. They're like, we can't do that. That's nuts. We're gonna,
Exactly.
we'll go out of, but it's a tough one. It's a tough one. There might be more response, positive response here. I don't know about the American farmer's temperament and these kind of things. So I know that there's been like just a natural movement of going from synthetic to organic. A lot of farms are doing.
Yes.
Go
So
ahead.
a lot of farms are doing it, and we have a thriving cooperative farming here in Illinois District 13 throughout the district, whether that is not just farms that are within like the Illinois District 13, but also surrounding counties. And that's also part of why I like the Green Party, because that cooperative economics and community-based economics is what I see is our future. And working the government, the populace, and our farmers all having the same shared goal of, we want to ensure the land that we are stewarding will continue to feed us and give us the love of nutrients. Honestly, that is so their reaction, I believe that the Illinois District 13 reaction will be positive. While we do have like massive corporate farming in Illinois, a majority of the farms within the Illinois District community are family owned and family operated. And so working with those individual families, meeting up with them, hearing about their stories has been absolutely wonderful. So I actually believe that the farmers in Illinois have the will and have the want to transition. And as we do it alongside them, they'll know that, again, we're doing this as a community, as a cooperative, and we want what's good for them, and we'll work with their land so that way it's being utilized. That's a thing that has come up within my agriculture community. If we don't want to be paid to like not grow on our farms,
right?
And so I think that's interesting that's like the first or third thing that they end up saying to me is like, I want to make sure that we're using our farmland. And I'm like, okay, we can utilize our farmland in 1,400 different ways, all of which you all have learned because you've grown up on farms. And so let's do it. I think we need what Congress needs to do is act to press the economic levers so that way it's profitable, but also sustainable and economically sound for our farmers to actually do that. So rather, again, spending the money that we have on our taxes to giving breaks to small local farms, intergenerational farms, even cooperative farms, all those things are important. Community gardens. So yeah, the agriculture community, I think the lobbyists have a lot of feelings, and those feelings are valid. At the same time, the actual farmers, the actual laborers, the actual people who are working the fields, I believe that they also want to see their land continue to be prosperous. And the best way to make that happen is through regenerative farming and a shift to sustainable designs for our farming and for our agriculture.
Yeah, very cool. And there's lots of different types of sustainable methods and things you can do. Just from doing the certifications in organic farming and permaculture. Permaculture, the definition of it is using nature's methods to grow things. So, like, by definition, it can't be in contrast to nature.
Right.
If you're applying a method that is, it's not permaculture. Permaculture is fascinating stuff, and it's such a beautiful set of methods. And it's effective. It works. There are non-synthetic ways to take care of, because a lot of people are concerned about like pests and bugs, and then of course you don't want infested tomatoes. But there are natural ways to go about doing that. Neem oil is extremely powerful, and that's just kind of up and coming right now as far as popularity. It comes from a neem tree in India, and it's just an amazing thing. And it's so safe but yet effective against like pests and bugs and stuff like that, and fungus and so on. Is it's so safe that you can douse your like tomato one night and the next morning pick it and eat it and you won't get sick. You're totally fine. It's not toxic at all. We're like, Roundup, Monsanto has like what, 300,000 lawsuits or something obnoxious like that. Maybe it's 100,000, which is still a lot. And they're losing quite frequently, as far as I understand.
Yes.
To the point where like, well, Roundup might just be gone sooner than later. We'll see, which is fine by me. So yeah, you know how you want to kill a weed? You know how you do it safely? Pour vinegar on it, and it'll die.
Oh, that is
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. It's vinegar. Okay, so you don't need something that like causes like lymphatic cancer. Go ahead, sorry.
And no, the other thing that I realized, and part of why I purposefully chose to go to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, I wanted to stay in Illinois because I love my state.
Well, you don't hear that often about Illinois. Good for you.
I love. I'm going to finish the thought, but I'm going to do a little rant about why I love Illinois.
Okay.
But yes, so as I was saying, Illinois.
Going to Champaign-Urbana.
Yes, I purposely chose going to Champaign-Urbana because I wanted to understand and to meet with all of the different types of students that Illinois hosts, that Illinois has. What's great about the public school system is that we get farmers' kids, we get kids from Chicago, we get kids from the Chicago suburbs. We have people from all over, as well as all over the world, that come to this wonderful institution. And yet a majority of our students are are born and raised in Illinois, spend our time here. And what I've learned is a lot of us actually want the same things. A lot of us want a prosperous future. A lot of us have the same concerns about climate change. And I purposely chose to go to Illinois so that way I can stay focused on how these impacts us, how this impacts my communities, my friends and family, but also the people who are just like me in other places of Illinois. I think that's the other reason why I chose to do Congress. Congress impacts everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody in our country, as a lot of different places across the world are looking towards us in our elections. And I'm saying, like, my community, specifically Illinois District 13, we have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful opportunity to highlight and to showcase what direct democracy really looks like and what grassroots democracy really looks like, what fighting for your community can achieve. And we're achieving those things. And I want to keep that ball running, and having a party like the Green Party supporting me, having my back, because they also believe in the fight that I'm fighting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, everything you're saying is perfectly consistent with our 10 platform positions. You're even using exact verbiage like, grassroots democracy and sustainability and, stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, have you come across the ballot access obstacle yet?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Well, I know that we have an uphill battle. That I and my team have an uphill battle. I have no ideas that it will not be a challenge. And that is A-okay with me, because I have the drive, the motivation, that fight, as well as my team does. And you can see they're already on here being great and being amazing. And so I would say I have the network to get the signatures, and I believe that Illinois has the will to also to push for a third party, to push for an independent and an outsider. The second part is petitioning starts March 26th, which is a Tuesday. So next week, Tuesday, actually, I'll be able to start petitioning. And so that's really when I'm currently in a lull of getting my ducks in a row across and getting more and more people to commit to spending an hour or two on the ground petitioning for me and petitioning for the Green Party as a collective. But yes, so the race hasn't started yet, but I'm definitely building up so that way I can take that marathon.
Nice. That's very cool. Good for you. Just because it's something that comes up a lot on this show. I mean, we're third party members. I mean, ballot access is probably our biggest obstacle to getting into office, because it's so rigged against us, and I mean that rigged. And it's not like some sort of like safety net logic that they use to establish these stupid disparities in number. It's because they know damn well if they did that if they allowed us the same amount, let's say it's Democrats, Republicans to get on, which is not much, we'd win a lot more offices and they would lose a lot more. And that's why they do it. That's the only reason they do it. So well, good for you that you have the stamina and the energy to take it on. That's great. That's fabulous. Seriously, that's great.
Thank you.
Because it's very frustrating. Like I said, we talk about it a lot here, and it just always just makes my blood boil. I'm like, how could you possibly think this is okay to do in a democracy? That you like, oh, you need 500 votes to be a Democrat on the ballot. Your Green Party, you need 10,000. What?
How?
That's insane. I mean, I don't know if those are exact numbers, but I bet you they're not far off.
They're not far off at all. No,
right.
Not for this 2028 for election. 100%
Yeah.
right on the spot.
Yeah. So good for you. Okay, so what do you love about Illinois? I want to hear this real quick.
Honestly, I loved my childhood. I loved all the resources that I had, and I only could get that because I lived in Illinois. I grew up in the public school system. I grew up going to Chicago public parks, going to the Chicago Public Library, and going to the Chicago or more so the state national parks that were in the area and the Cook County national areas. All of that was beautiful. I learned to love reading. I learned to be able to express myself. My teachers, who were all public school teachers, lived in Illinois, and a lot of them are from Illinois, although one was from, a few of them are from Michigan, which I thought was funny. And I see that that's not how other states are, how even some counties can be. And what I love about Illinois is we have those things. We have that. And I benefited from that. So I love the not just agriculture. I love the skylights and the land that we live on. I enjoy the beautiful public works that we have. I love my community, and it's so small that I know people and I see people. I know people's names. I feel at home when I'm here, and I know that it's like the Midwest. So you're not the
epitome of the Midwest. Yes.
Yeah, you're not the first person to be surprised that I love Illinois, but that's the thing. Like, I enjoy.
I'm glad you do. I think that's fabulous that you do. Here. It's just, it's just most people like to kind of complain about it all the time. And they want to get out of here. Or whether it be the weather, or the winters and the August, heat and everything. Or the politics, or just the blandness compared to other. Like, I lived in Portland, Oregon for 12 years, Pacific Northwest. Oh man, that was awesome.
Nice.
Beautiful. And then I had to come back here, and at first I was not happy. I was not happy. I mean, you got to be kidding me. But family needed me, and that's how it goes. And I've acclimated since, reacclimated, because I grew up here. And I'm like, I don't really think about it in those terms. Like, I love Illinois. I mean, like, I'm fine. I'm happy. But I don't think, oh, it's a great state. I don't know. I just don't think it that way. But I'm glad you love it, because that's probably going to make your campaign a lot more enjoyable. Say you're actually doing it out of love and not out of fear. Spite. I don't know. Spite's better. Thank you. Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. So let's talk some about you've mentioned inflation and ceasefires and stuff like that. We talked about agriculture. And again, I want to reiterate, I'd really like to have you back on to elaborate more on. I think you and I would talk about agriculture would be a very interesting conversation. Yes. But let's talk okay. How do you lower inflation, or what do you do about inflation?
Yes, what I realized from listening to the corporate calls and the shareholder calls in some of these major companies is that the United States taxpayer is paying triple things 4 times over. So here's what I mean. The way I would tackle inflation is by first saying any corporate group that makes more than $1 billion in profits a year, all of their employees need to be transferred need to be paid a wage and transferred so that they're no longer on food stamps, no longer on that kind of aid, because we're subsidizing particularly in this case, like I'm thinking of Walmart, but we're subsidizing their workforce by allowing them to continue to be within our social safety net. And so I want to make something very clear. I love our social safety net. I will gladly pay my taxes so that way people who need to work part-time, who have kids, anything under the sun, I want them to all be great. What should not be happening is that there are corporations who are being able to be subsidized by us. And so the way that I would tackle inflation is, yes, I would move people off of, I would make the corporations take ownership of their needs of their workers. And I would also fine corporations who price gouge, who are able to say that we're price gouging. And at the current moment, we do have good people in the government who are actively seeking to see if people are price gouging or not. And so I would spend our tax dollars going after people who are price gouging us, finding them and saying, you can no longer do this. And then they'll stop. Putting the governmental pressure on these companies can do so much more to move that needle than anything else. And so that's what I would do. Those are the two things I would fight for to get inflation under control, because greedflation is very real. And which is unfortunate, shrinkflation, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think it was a joke. I was hoping it would continue to be a joke. And my favorite chips, Jay's chips, which is you can almost only find in Illinois, which I think is wild. But
what is it called?
They're called Jay's.
Oh, Jay's potato chips.
Yes, the potato chips.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah, Jay's potato chips are delicious. And so the greedflation and shrinkflation, I feel it when I go to the grocery store. I buy my favorite bag of chips, which is the family size, so it's like pretty big. And yet, when the prices have increased. It used to be $2.50, now it's $3.89 at Walmart, which hurts my soul. And when I open up the bag, there's only a third of it, or less than half, is full of chips. And
it's mostly air.
It's mostly air. Those are the things that Congress are able to tackle. Those are the concrete things that will stop inflation and will stymie the increasing of prices. Because the other thing with inflation that I'm hearing from older, wiser folks who've been in the business longer than I have, let them all be great, but hearing their advice, it's clear to me that the inflation is year over year, and that inflation is increasing. So all of our prices are always consistently going up. Maybe they're going up a point percentage less or point percentage more, but it's still 3%. It's still 7%. It's still 8.1%. And that's from what it was last year and the year before. So as I said, I'm feeling the inflation, and it's hurting my pocket too. And that's what Congress is meant to do. It's meant to regulate these corporations so that way they're not price gouging us, so that when they're held to account. And I am desperate for accountability.
Accountability is a big deal, and it actually, by definition, it keeps people in check. So that's great. So in case anybody missed it, she mentioned Walmart, and that's just to elaborate a little bit on that. Walmart as a company is the single greatest demographic of people that are on welfare stamps.
Yep.
Well, food stamps, sorry. And it's because they pay them so terribly that they have to be. Walmart is the Waltons. I think it's called the Waltons. Are like one of the richest families in the world. It's unbelievably just. I mean, it's just stupid that it happens this way. I don't know why people are not in a greater uproar over this stuff. Like, including the employees. Like, are you kidding me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, on my break, I have to go get food stamps. I hope you don't mind. So
You did a break.
that's ridiculous. So anyway, sorry. So yeah, good for you. No, that's great. Inflation's a interesting thing. And speaking of, you alluded to it, Summer. Like think about like why it is that like in the 1950s, early 60s, a cheeseburger costs 15 cents and now it costs like $3. That's a massive increase. Why? Why is that? Like why? How does that happen? Well, there's all sorts of theories and stuff like that. Like putting too much currency into the system causes demand to go up, and then so forth. The supply, goes haywire. And at the end of the day, there's one reason why inflation happens, and that's because people raise prices. That's it. Why they raise prices is that we can have discourse about that, but that is the inflation. It means that prices go up while your wages stay the same. That's what it means. So anyway, so good for you. So okay. What about like international stuff? Because as a congressperson, you're going to have to contend with some of that, especially nowadays with Israel, Gaza, and the Ukraine war, and all this craziness going on. And you said you had a minor in international studies. Is that right? Is that the right name for it?
Yes, international development, actually.
Development. Oh, okay, fabulous. So why don't you talk about that a bit?
Oh yes, when I first came to University of Illinois, I was hoping to, as I said, become a farmer. And while I didn't learn how to farm at this university, I did learn international development techniques of even ways to communicate with different communities, with rural communities, with farming communities, to communicate what are issues happening in their community, with what are the words, what are the actual things that they need currently right now to like what the quick fixes. And so one of the reasons why I did international development was to bring what happens in other countries to apply it here, because while the United States is very developed, we're also very underdeveloped in certain places, particularly
like morality.
Morality is definitely one of them. Sustainability is definitely another one of them. And so thinking about international politics, part of why I am determined to run for office, and why I am running for office, is also because we have a very strong, very vibrant Palestinian community, not only in Urbana-Champaign and Springfield, but also throughout Illinois and particularly in Chicago. And I want to be able to represent and to push and fight for what we're all have been asking for. I do believe that the United States needs to step back in how they interact with different countries. I see our sanctioning as a huge issue. And so Congress also is able to dictate sanctions, is able to approve or and take people off of different lists. So yes, I am staying up on current events, and I know what's kind of going on in different spaces. And so Gaza is a wonderful example of how the United States is paying for 3 different sides of a war.
Explain that.
Yep, we're sending military aid and gifts to the country of Israel.
Right.
We are sending humanitarian aid and supplies, or we're sending that to Gaza and to the people in the Gaza Strip who are currently under siege. And we're also now paying for another port. So now we're paying for another port in the Gaza Strip on their beaches. And so this is the third way we're getting involved: humanitarian aid, military aid, and now I would say that this is getting very close to troops on the ground in another conflict. And the Congress's job is to say, no, we're not doing this. This is not the way we want to use our taxpayer funds. And that's exactly why I'm going to Congress. So that way we're spending less money on foreign affairs and foreign wars in places that the middle class doesn't even know that we're in. The people in my community won't realize that we have troops in different places, and that we have drone bases in Niger. Recently, Niger ended up saying, hey, we want U.S. troops to be withdrawn. Like, get out, go.
Good for them.
Good for them. Good for them. Good for them. stand up to the United States as
I
women
agree.
do. Stand up to our corporate political parties. And we need a Congress that will say, we accept, we are going to move out our troops. Yes, we didn't need to be there. We were there. We didn't need to be there. We're moving out. We're closing the bases, and we're spending those dollars directly from what we were spending it on, which is the bases and our troops there. And we're putting those dollars directly into our veterans, making sure that they're actually taken care of, making sure that all of our citizens have health care, and make sure that we are investing in the education of our middle class
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, they crunched the numbers, and like, our military is so overly bloated and overly funded. It's so ridiculous. The people in charge right now are just so afraid to like not fund the Pentagon, and I
Yeah.
don't know why. I don't know why. But they say something like, you took 10% of like, military spending of the budget, and you could like solve like half the problems in America: healthcare, education, poverty. Like, it's just ridiculous. 10%, and they would still have, and they wouldn't even miss it, because they're still like, we're the most powerful military in the world compared to like the next like 35 countries or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are allies. So like, why do we even need to be, on our own that way?
A lot of those are allies, and all of those are allies, and we're unable, the Pentagon and all branches within the Pentagon, all departments within the military are not able to pass an audit. They are not able to
They
tell
keep failing every year. Yeah.
They fail it every year for the sixth year.
Yeah.
If they're not able to say, here's what we bought with the money that you were given with our bloated salaries, they're not able to say what they bought, how much they bought it for, and where it currently is.
Oh yeah, they can't. It was Rumsfeld. They lost like $10 billion or something.
Yes,
and it was something. Wasn't that what? Was that right?
$10 billion.
Like, I just remember, like, they couldn't account for like billions of dollars. I'm sorry. What was that? Say that again.
Yeah.
I was
$10 billion that can go to student loan forgiveness.
Totally. Student loan free. That's another good position or topic. That's just utterly just crushing and devastating. I don't understand. Like, we can talk about money and currency again later too, and the lack of value thereof. Like, money doesn't have any value in and of itself. It's truly just a pretend thing. It's stupid. Anybody who wants go back to last week's show with Sid Smith, the mathematician. He talked about capitalism, socialism, the history of it, currency. It was a fantastic interview. And he explained a lot of good stuff. So my point being, like, literally all they have to do is like forgive the loan debt, because I'm never mind, because I can go on forever and ever about that. We only have a couple minutes left. I don't want to take up your time because I'm getting annoyed by like how stupid our economy is. But real quick, Eco Socialist is asking, do you have a website or social media page for the campaign? I'm sure you do, but real quick, I'm on my tablet. I don't have a keyboard. Normally I would put it on the bottom. What I'm going to do, or ask Chibu to do, is after the show is over, to put it in the comments section on Facebook and or YouTube, and then you can go back and find it there, okay? Because I'm going to hit something wrong and I'm going to do something wrong. So anyway, so what is the name of it, real quick, just so people know?
Yep, you can visit chibuforcongress.nationbuilder.com. And I am currently on social media as Plans Don't Happen, because that's one of my philosophies in life. But you can follow me, and you can follow me in my campaign in those two places. I am active on social media. I am active on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, on Twitter. So please feel free to DM me, talk with me. If you live in Illinois, which some of you obviously do, I need all of the people who will be able to even give me 1 hour of their time, because that is real money.
Yeah, no, for sure, exactly. That's real value right there. So time and energy is far more valuable than a piece of paper with a 1 on it that ever could be. That's very cool. We got like a minute left here. Is there anything you wanted to kind of sum it all up with, or anything you wanted to plug?
Yes, I do. Yes. Please go to my website, chibuforcongress.nationbuilder.com. And hey, Illinois, if you want healthcare for all, student loan forgiveness for all, and election reform, I need you to not only vote for me in November, but I need you to petition for me in Illinois District 13. I am running, Chibu Asonye, running for Congress to be your congresswoman for Illinois District 13, which is Champaign-Urbana, Springfield, through Decatur into all the way down to Belleville area. So if you're in any of those spaces, you can petition and you can vote for me. We need change, we need outsiders, we need the Green Party. And that's why I'm here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And that's why I'm here. That's very cool. Thank you so much, Chibu Asonye.
Yes.
Very, very cool name, by the way. I love that name.
Thank you. It's Nigerian.
Is it Nigerian? It's a beautiful name. It's nice to say. Very cool. Yeah, I really do want to have you back on and talk more about other stuff. The agriculture and so on, and there's other things we can talk about too, while simultaneously plugging your campaign. So till then, thank you everybody for tuning into the Illinois Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rich. Till next time, be good, be green. Okay, hold on one second.